everyone. Happy New Year. So, Mr. Mayor, how are you executing the plan now that migrants are coming in by train and trying to circumvent your bus order? And number two, how will you execute the plan to eject the vendors from Brooklyn Bridge?
Okay, great to that. First, what Governor Abbott has done in his total reckless disregard for using people as pawns, he has shifted and it just wants to create chaos. And we can't be so stagnant that we don't respond to his shift. And that is what we're going to do. We're going to be extremely calculative in how we do it, utilize our manpower, resources, utilize our executive order's powers to not just be stagnant. We put out an executive order. If he's shifting, we're going to shift. And that is what the Corp Council and the City Hall's Council really, Lisa has been amazing and thinking one step ahead. And we coordinated and communicated with the municipalities in the area. And they should all do the same, EO. They should look at everyone that has that train line that leads into the city, everyone that has the municipalities around us. They should do the same EO. This is what we learned from Chicago. He tried it in Chicago also. We're dealing with a person who just wants to disrupt. This is not about raising the attention on an issue. This is a mean-spirited way of using people and disrupting municipalities, not only in this region and in other parts of the entire country. And so we're going to pivot and shift and be prepared to send the right message to these bus operators. You should not participate in the actions of Governor Abbott. The Brooklyn Bridge. You have a photo of that Brooklyn Bridge?
I can get it. So you can keep talking.
People, I was driving across the Brooklyn Bridge, I think it was Saturday, and I called Fabian. I said, can you get a photographer out here to take a picture of this bridge? People couldn't walk. It's not only a sanitary issue, it's a public safety issue. People were jumping over the bridge onto the bike path because we came to a blockage. And so I'm not quite understanding those that are not clear that you can't have a bridge lined up on both sides with vendors selling all sorts of items, and it created this bottleneck. So if you needed an emergency egress to get off the bridge, people would have trampled over each other. We need order in the city. That is one of our major landmarks. And Mary, you can go into what our initiative, what we have started. We're going to clear that bridge of vendors. Now, if other electeds decide they want to counteract what we want to do, we can only do what we do.
So if they're still there tomorrow, right? They're not taking tonight, I understand. So if they're still there tomorrow, are you physically picking up their stuff and moving it out? Like, how are you enforcing it?
Hold on for one moment, because I want to get this clear. This is a very important point that we need to understand in the city. NYPD locks up people. The other parts of the criminal justice system on serious crimes, they determine if they're going to stay in. We're going to clean up the bridge. If other forms of our legislative body decides we don't want the bridge cleaned up, we can only do what's in our power. And I'm saying to New Yorkers that the policies that are being implemented by a small numerical minority of electors in the city, they are implementing policies that have been implemented in other cities, and we are witnessing the just dismantling of public safety in those cities. We have been successful in here in holding back some of those policies, but the policies that are being implemented of public urination, public injection of drugs, vendors everywhere, crime, we've been fighting back this administration. But if we're saying that we want our city to go down the route of other cities, there's not much we can do. We're gonna confine with the law. But New Yorkers need to be clear. Look at other cities, and we need to ask ourselves, is this what we want for our city. And I say no to that. And I think the overwhelming of New Yorkers embrace my belief that we don't want our cities to look like some of the other cities, and the policies that were put in place to create that environment. And the vendoring on our bridge is a symbol of the type of policies that people are trying to implement. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I just want to follow up and highlight what the mayor was talking about around safety. The Brooklyn Bridge is a major pedestrian thoroughfare. New York City is back. People want to be in public space. They celebrate the public space. It's where communities are made. It's part of our social economy. In 2021, on an average weekday, we'd have about 17,000 pedestrians cross that bridge. By 2022, that had gone up to 34,000, and the numbers continue to rise. This is something that's extremely positive and is a real sign of life in New York City. But it's also a safety concern. At its widest point, that bridge is 16 feet. At its narrowest, it's 5 feet. It's crowded on a regular day. If there's an emergency, it's a life-threatening experience. And so we have to make sure that our major pedestrian thoroughfares are there for pedestrians so that the public can use them, so they're there for the greater good. And we are certainly understanding that some people have been vending on that bridge for a while. We flyered. We let them know. The rules were initially published in October. There was a lot of press, thanks to many people in this room, about the current conditions and what the rulemaking would do. And it's been several months. We've gone through the administrative rulemaking process. Flyers went out. DOT will be holding property if it's left on the bridge at a safe and convenient location so people can come by and pick it up. And it's absolutely about education, showing people where they can vend legally in the city, and there are many streets in the city where people can vend legally, and making sure that they understand this transition is happening, and we will not tolerate disobedience, but we certainly are not going to be surprising anyone in terms of the fact that the transition's happening, and we will help you accommodate you getting your stuff off the bridge, but we're not going to tolerate continued vending on the bridge after the rule goes into effect. And I think New Yorkers are going to really appreciate the change. They're going to appreciate being able to walk across that bridge, have the freedom to move freely. I was joking early, literally stretch their arms out because there is space, finally. And it is really one of the most iconic and beautiful structures in the city. And it's time for us to be able to celebrate it and see it for what it is.
And Julia, I just cannot emphasize enough that the overwhelming number of New Yorkers, they want clean streets, they want an organized city. There's a small number of people, they want to legalize prostitution. They, think it's all right for someone to put a camp in front of your house. They think it's okay for people to deal with serious mental health illness, and they should be allowed to stay on the streets, although they can't take care of themselves. There's just a philosophical difference in the city that I said it a few weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. The overwhelming number of New Yorkers want an organized, clean street, and not any and everything goes. When we went to clean up the plaza on Roosevelt Island, where you saw brothels, you saw prostitution, you saw people selling food under pigeon droppings. We went out there to clean it up. There was a small number of electors that were saying, no, leave it alone. This city is too diverse, too complicated, and too many different ways of life for us not to have clear directions on what we expect from our neighbors and what we expect from the residents of the city. And that's the clarity I'm going to represent. I can do it within my power. We are going to, and some people a small number of people are going to push back. But we're going to push hard to fight for this city to be a city that's orderly run. We shouldn't have mopeds driving up and down the blocks, going up one-way streets, driving on sidewalks. I mean, you look at these quality of life issues that we are fighting for. A small number of people are trying to fight to not stabilize this amazing city that we have. And I'm just not going to surrender to the loudest. The loudest is not the majority.
The photos that I just showing, we'll send it around as well. And I would just want to show this one video that we saw on Twitter. Yep. Just one. There's 4 here. Hold on, I'm just getting it up. Look at the danger of this. Someone literally climbing up on a barrier and then jumping off from the pedestrian walkway onto a bike pathway. We'll send around this tweet. This is just a public tweet. Yes, we'll send it
Imagine
around.
someone yells a fire. Someone hear a car backs fire and think it's a shot. You have a stampede on that bridge. You know, idealism can't collide with realism. You know, just throwing out these policies without understanding how would it impact public safety. I have to think that through.